At some point, you have to stop asking, how do I get my old life back? And start asking, what can I build with the life I have now? That has probably been one of the hardest lessons for me since my son became disabled. Because for a long time, I didn't realize how much energy I was actually putting towards going towards trying to get us back to who we were. And eventually I had to accept something. I had to accept that we weren't going back, but that didn't mean that we couldn't move forward. In the beginning, I think I treated everything like it was just something we'll get through. We'll get through these hospitalizations. We'll get through rehab. We'll get through these appointments. We'll figure out what's wrong, and we will figure out what he needs. And eventually, life will go back to normal. Except it didn't. Life kept changing, and somewhere along the way, I had to realize that I wasn't waiting for a version of our life that was coming back. This was especially hard for me because I've always been somebody who figured things out. Something goes wrong. Okay, what's the problem? What's the solution? What's the next move? So naturally, that's how I approached this too. I researched. I asked questions. I combed through history. I went to appointments. I literally, when I say I combed through history, I looked for answers. I advocated, and I still do those things. I'm always going to advocate for my baby, but I've had to learn that there is a difference between fighting for my son and fighting for reality. For a while, everything was compared to before he became disabled, before our schedules revolved around appointments, before accessibility was something I had to think about, before I resigned from my job, before I became a caregiver, before life became this. And when you constantly compare your life now to your life before something happened, the present almost always loses because you're comparing what is to what you wish still was. And I realized I couldn't keep doing that to myself. I don't want to spend the next 5 years wishing for the 5 years before this all happened, because then I've actually lost 10. It's like, think about that. I could spend years grieving the years I've already lost and completely miss the years I'm actually living. I don't want that for myself anymore, and I definitely don't want that for my son. And I think sometimes we misunderstand acceptance. Accepting where we are doesn't mean I'm okay with everything that's happened. There are things I wish had never happened. There are things my son used to be able to do that I wish he could still do. There are things about our old life that I absolutely miss. I'm not pretending otherwise. Acceptance just means I'm no longer making my happiness dependent on somehow getting my old life back, because yesterday is gone. So now the question becomes, what can we build from here? Not how can I get my old life back, but what can our life become from here? Those questions may sound similar, but they're completely different to me. One keeps me looking back, and the other forces me to look forward. And when I started looking forward, I started seeing possibilities again. Maybe some things have to be modified. Maybe we have to find another way to do something. Maybe something I pictured for our future won't happen exactly the way I imagined it. And that's okay. That's where it required me to change my mindset, to ask, then what can happen? What can we still experience? What can my son still accomplish? What can I still accomplish? Because different doesn't automatically mean worse. Sometimes different is simply the life you didn't plan for. And now I have to decide what I'm going to do with it. And that's another thing I've had to realize. My life didn't end when I decided, or not decided, when I became a caregiver, because I didn't decide that. I mean, I'm still here. I'm still a woman outside of being somebody's mother and caregiver. I still have things I want to build. I still want to travel. I still want new experiences. I still want peace. I still want a future that I'm excited about. And wanting those things doesn't mean I'm leaving my son behind. I'm trying to figure out how we can move forward together. I think sometimes when life changes drastically, we become so attached to the picture we had in our heads that we don't leave room for another picture to be beautiful. And I'm still learning how to do that too. There will probably always be moments when I look backwards. There will always be things I miss. I'm not trying to erase any of that. I just don't want to live there anymore because my son is here. I'm here, and our life is happening right now at this very moment. I don't want to look up years from now and realize that I spent all of that time waiting for a life that wasn't coming back instead of building the one that was right in front of me. So no, I'm not trying to get my old life back anymore. I'm trying to build a life that makes sense for who we are now. Maybe that's what moving forward really is. Not forgetting what happened, and not pretending you don't miss what you had, but deciding that the past doesn't get to have your future too.